one guy on the bid side, one guy on the offer side, you earn the spread for the two transactions. And that everyone viewed themselves as a price taker in this world. Everyone viewed themselves as, whenever they turn to another human being and ask for some form of cooperation from that party takes a pound of flesh out of it, takes a vig for themselves to entice, and you've got to give them the vig to entice them into the transaction with you. And even, this is an interesting thing I found, which I didn't expect when I got into Wall Street, even the guy who's the price maker in dollar mark always sees himself as the price taker in dollar Swissy. So whatever you do, you're the price maker in that, but you're the price taker in everything else in life. It's just that one thing you do. You do handcrafted carpentry. Yeah, you're the price maker in that, and they pay you. But you want to fill up your gas tank, you're the price taker. You want to buy the meat from the store, you're the price taker. And so everyone really saw themselves in general as a price taker. And only in rare circumstances where they were producing something where they're the price maker. And even in that situation, they say, well, there's competition for what I do because I'm not really that special on this planet. I just do what the guy down in the next street can do as well. And if I price anything too much from him, I'll never get any business. So they don't really feel like they're a price maker. At least they're not paying away a spread as they're crafting your cabinetry for you. All right. I said, let's imagine a different world. Where, for example, it's possible that if I were a kerosene manufacturer in the 1800s, I would figure I'm the price maker in kerosene, but I'm the price taker in hauling away this gasoline and disposing of it somehow. Man, it's flammable, it's very dangerous shit, it destroys all the crops around it. In the beginning, they probably just pumped around all the land around them and just destroyed everything, right? Pretty soon, it's like, I can't do that. They tried to get it going to the river, it's destroying all the, the fish in the river, and people getting pissed off downstream. I can't do that. It becomes a big problem how you dispose of it. And they consider themselves a price taker in the world of disposing this byproduct of gasoline. But in hindsight, we all know they were creating something which was in fact an input to somebody else's thing. And that if that guy had that input, they would in fact be willing to pay for it. And so you end up with what they call in economics a social surplus, where there's something which can be given from one party to another. The party who's giving it up is willing to accept a lower price and be happy than the price that the receiver is willing to pay for it and be happy. There's something else in there for society as a whole, the society of price takers and price makers combined. If you take a look at the whole society of the buyer and the seller, there's something extra. It's called the social surplus. The question is, who gets it? Highly competitive markets on the consumer side, it all goes to the consumer. Traditionally in history of the planet, it all went to the producer. The producer was the king, he got to decide who got what, and he got the social surplus. But once you get to a very competitive world, so lots of producers trying to get the attention of the consumers, it all goes to the consumer, and they get it. This is why we had labor costs at a certain level, but once people realize in COVID they don't have to go to work and get paid, and that you really need us more than we need you, all of a sudden you got to pay a ton of money to get anybody to work, and they are going to dictate the terms to you now. This is the social surplus question. And it fluctuates back and forth between the producer and the consumer as to who is that social surplus. And of course, everyone wants it, that social surplus. But when the trade doesn't get done, no one benefits. And that social surplus is just plain lost, in addition to the satisfaction each party would have had, because they both were happy with a given price, and there's a social surplus. When they don't do the trade at all, the whole fucking thing just loses. And that's what I was observing in life and saying, this is going on, guys. You guys are not making reasonable trades here where you all would benefit. And let's not even argue about who gets the social surplus out of it. You would all personally benefit just compared to what your current situation is, even if you didn't get the social surplus. And so I took a look at that map and I said, okay, let's map out any decision that comes up, any idea of what someone wants to do, any idea of what the problem is. Let's put it onto this map. Let's take the thing and shove it onto this map and say, what is it that you've already got coming into you that you can easily give out? And from this perspective, your own creativity, I'll say that's an input, to the what you have to offer the world. So what can you afford to give out, and what do you want to come in from someone else? And so everything becomes a little box thing. I would draw a little box. I would put the name of the party asking me something in that box. And they're saying, I want X. I want a job. I want a girlfriend. I want to make some money. I want someone to take the risk of the currency falling in value, whatever. So what they want, I drew a little arrow into their box. I put their name in the box. I drew a little arrow in, and this is what they wanted. We don't know who can give it. I draw another box at the base of that arrow saying, question mark, like, who the fuck can give you what you want? That's what I don't yet know. But then, and this is what I did that nobody else did, because everyone knows when someone says, I want this, we all know what everybody fucking wants, right? You hear that a lot in this world. Everybody tells you what they want. I was the guy who said, well, what do you have to offer? Right? Two sides of every coin. What do you got to offer? Let's bring out your debt. Show me everything you got that you don't value as highly as the thing you're looking for. So don't tell me everything you got. Tell me the things that are less valuable to you than the thing you want. That you would be willing to trade off right now to get what you want. So I list these things out. Now, historically, when anyone asks this question, because some people do ask this question, they would say money. How much is that worth to you in dollars and cents? That's what they ask. Only a one-dimensional answer.
No,
how many dollars?
That's awful.
Stupidity, right?
How do I get any value out of it that way?
Right. But they wanted it simple.
There is no imbalance there for benefit in the middle.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
I'm saying, but also that is just so fucking simple that if you simply define in currency terms how much you're willing to pay for any given thing and how much you're willing to sell the given thing for in dollar terms, it is so fucking simple even a caveman can do it. And you guys are all cavemen and you've been doing that, right? So that's that. You got that, right? You got this model of let's define how many dollars I'm willing to pay for X, and let's define how many dollars I would demand to get X. And the difference, if what I'm willing to get is less than what they're willing to pay, there's a social surplus. We can do the trade, and we got to argue who gets that. And if it's the other way around, we just don't do a trade. So that little model, there's been like 100 billion of you guys have been doing that for a long time.
Damn.
I'm
Hold
not.
on.
Yeah. Got it?
Well, I see how you took the traveling salesman just to demolish everybody.
Right. It's gonna start. The pieces start to fall together and to fall into place. I say, so you guys are all working in this world where it's a geographical world here, right? You're looking at a traveling salesman in the most fundamental sense. It is miles between the players.
It's only one plane.
It's one dimension, one plane. This is all you got. I said, but in reality, we could be looking at this problem from a perspective of amount of gallons of gasoline it takes to get from one place to the other, amount of time it takes to get from one place to another, right? There's a lot of
environmental impact.
There's a ton of different things, right? And if
or if I'm going these places, what the fuck can I bring with me?
So this is where you're starting to zero in, because I really want to get to the negative costs, right? So I say, hey, brilliance that you figured out a zero cost thing is a little trick to solve this problem. But I'm saying, once you're thinking in that direction, can we think of negative costs, and actually not just as a mathematical trick for solving, but go out and make it happen. So no one made a 0-mile path between Denver and Des Moines, right?
Yeah.
That was a mathematical trick in a computer. I said, we can really create a 0-mile path or a negative mile path from Denver to Des Moines.
But it's not,
really, not just in a computer.
It's not the 0-mile path. It's a positive benefit, not a negative benefit.
Yes, it's not a cost. It's a negative cost.
It's a negative cost.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, let's do this little math of what someone's got and what they need, but let's not focus on the dollars and cents part. Let's focus on the non-dollar nonsense, except when it's an investor or an investor or a borrower. Yeah, you got to put the dollars in because that's what they want. But if it isn't specifically what's most important to them is dollars, there's something else that's important to them. I want to see the multiple dimensions of all the things important to them. Many of them might be more important than dollars.
This is how derivatives work.
Yes. Yes. What do you value more? And the more unusual and further away from dollars it is, the better. Because the caveman understands the dollar. And he might understand the cents, because a dollar is similar to a cent, right? But when you start talking about love, totally fucking different, right? It's two different dimensions, right? So this is what I did. I said, okay.
So, fine, we'll figure out a way to relate them.
Right. I said, so here's what we're going to do. you're going to tell me what you want. And except in the rare case where they are a dollar manufacturer like a bank, or an investment company. Unless they're a dollar consumer or a dollar manufacturer. If they have anything else in life that they do, like for example, a feedlot, right? You say, what do you want? I want cheaper feed. I want to reduce my costs. And you realize that they've been just taking that crap and dumping it out behind it. All the people in the neighborhood have been complaining about the smell and all this kind of stuff. They just keep dumping. It's bigger. Eventually they build Pine Knob and they put some dirt on top of it, right? Make a ski slope out of it, But hell, there's now 7 ski slopes within a 1 mile radius, right? People say, come on, guys. But when you look at it, you say, okay, hold on a second. What do you have to offer? Well, I don't have too much money because the economy's going bad. It's like, no. Let's look at what else you got. That's like what else you got. Of course, I'm looking to say, what else does someone want worth something?
The derivative is the product that ties all these together.
Brings them all together.
Now I know how it works. I know how it works now.
So it's the glue, right? It becomes the glue. And so I look around then and I say, hey, I'm just a good guy who likes to solve problems. And I just like this stuff because I'm a weirdo. And people notice after a while, they're like, you look fucking get off on solving problems, don't you? You're always smiling and you got a lot of energy, whatever. So I say, bring out all your problems. Well, I got this problem. I got a bunch of my neighbors complaining about the stench from my shit pile over here.
So my dad told me one time, I think he was upset with me about something. He said I would literally break into Fort Knox just to beat the lock and then leave the money behind.
Right, just to do it. Yeah, him and me both. Exactly.
He said I would break into Fort Knox just to beat the lock and then leave the money behind.
Right. And so I would go and say, okay, guy, tell me while I'm working on it, my time, I might as well solve all your problems. What other problems you got? Well, I got this problem that I got this shit piles all over the place. Someone's complaining about it. I'm running out of place to pile the shit. I'm like, okay, get back to you. So I go in my little blank piece of paper and I draw a box and I say feedlot in the middle. And I say in shit. So I'm doing the opposite. I say in. No, sorry. Hold on a second. Yeah, I see. In this case, it depends on how you define it, but I'll define it the more normal way. In, you can say, is feed. Out is shit. The problem is he wants to reduce the cost of his feed, and he wants to, reduce the cost of getting rid of that shit. Because right now, so I would draw this: feed in, cattle out, shit out, dollars before the cattle comes in, more dollars go out to get rid of the shit. So I draw that with the dollars and the other things. But you notice he's paying money to get rid of the shit, and he wants some feed. And it turns out some of the people who want that shit are the people who are growing the feed, right? And so that's when you walk over to those guys and say, listen, working with your buddies to try to help solve some problems.
And well, I mean, thinking here, like, when you deal with each other in dollars, you're getting hit on taxes.
Yep, there's that too.
Is there taxes on shit and feed when you trade them directly?
That's a good question. And that's a very good question.
I mean, this one's simple. This one's only two parties here, right?
Exactly. But you're right. There's always a tax consequence of everything you do. Sometimes the tax consequence is when you like. Sometimes it's when you don't like. People always try to avoid the don't likes and they try to get the likes, but they go after the likes by just trying to cook up some cockamamie bull story just to get this good taxing thing. And that's what the tax authority doesn't like. And they put rules about that thing. But one of the safe harbors in the tax codes of almost every nation in the world, and definitely the United States, says if you have, if by doing your business one way versus the other, the one way you do it generates less tax due to us, that's okay. If you're making choices of how to run your business, they say if there's substantial economic effect, in the words that's used in the tax code. If the thing you did had substantial economic effect, which means, is translated to, you would have done that even if there were no taxes in the world, you would have done it.
And you have the transactional cost of getting the feed the dollars and back, so you never can avoid that.
Right. That's the friction, right?
Yeah,
that's
you never can do that, right?
Already.
So it's like, let's just get rid of it and go from one to the other.
Right. So the idea is,
and now, the guy that's arranging all this in the middle defines the friction.
Right. He says, I will decide how much friction you got in the system. But if he's smart, and I was smart, So I'll make sure that the friction that I'm introducing in the system is considerably less than the friction you already got. So I'm going to be improving the situation. This is one of those optimization problems. It's an improvement. You have waste already, I will reduce the waste. And I'll be paid to reduce the waste. You can say the payments to me are a form of waste itself. You could say, I say not so much because you're paying me, I'm gonna spend more time solving more problems, I'm gonna reduce more of your waste. But, so that's the question. But the answer is this, for a fact, the system waste goes down in the process. And it's not, when it's only because of tax, that's not so good.
Improvement in the future.
Right, and it's reduction of waste.
Not the best solution. But a better solution.
But it's a better solution.
And when you define the friction,
right,
you move the goalpost as you need to move the goalpost.
Yeah, and so what I do is I say that social surplus is how much friction is being eliminated. That's the social surplus. And I say I will remove $10 of waste, which creates $10 of social surplus. I'll take $9 for it. And the rest of you can just get one for free. And I get to define the price because I'm the guy who comes up with the idea. And if I don't tell you the idea, you don't have it, and you're all screwed. So you're going to have 10 of waste, or you're going to have less waste, pay me a portion, and you're going to net with a reduction in your total waste. And so you go to the farmer and you say, listen, I can do a transaction where I give you a bunch of shit, and in exchange you give me a bunch of feed. And sometimes you're giving him, the amount of feed to him is worth the shit that he's getting. It should be. Your profit can be in feed then, and you sell the feed to this guy. You give the feed to this guy for the shit, and he pays you a little more for the extra feed, or you sell the extra feed to some other guy, right? So you could do a non-cash transaction between the two and get your, quote, profit in either feed or shit, and then deliver those to somebody else who wasn't part of that swap trade, and that's where you get your monetization. And your benefit is how much surplus is being created in this process that you can sell off to the market of people needing things. And but the key here now is in this diagram, you have feedlot, big box, and they have feed coming in, shit going out, and they have dollars going out for feed, dollars going out for shit. Then you also, going in another direction, you have cattle going out and cash coming in. And they get more cash for the cattle than they got to pay for the feed, and the shit. I'll just call it the sheed, and that's why they have a business. You got the guy at the bottom there, he's paying for, he already pays for the shit, what's called fertilizer, right? He pays for fertilizer, he ships out, and he has to pay for seed as well, and then he ships out feed, and he makes money. Well, he's still going to pay for his seed, and he's still going to make money from shipping this stuff out. But we've now found the way where we put these guys together, we stand in between. So we're a little box in between these two. We stand in between, we receive the shit, deliver the shit, receive the feed, deliver the feed. We do this on paper though. What's that?
Well, I'm listening.
I don't know if there's anything important.
No.
Focus on it.
No, I'm listening.
Okay, so this is what derivatives is about. But of course, before I'd ever heard the word derivatives, and I never heard it. So back in the day when I'm doing these formulas, when I'm hearing about corporate finance, I start modeling all the finance problems that I'm seeing, but all the other problems, including my education idea, with these little boxes and these arrows coming in and out, they're effectively creating a map. And I'm trying to solve the shortest path problem, or the traveling salesman problem, where you want to reduce the amount of time it takes to get to all of them. But here's the insight, is that I realized that if I were the price taker, and I was, delivering shit, I'd have to pay to get rid of that shit. If I'm the price maker, I deliver the shit and the grower pays me for it. It's fertilizer. I call it fertilizer, not shit. And just changing the name of what it is, all of a sudden now it's a valuable thing that I can sell, as opposed to something that's not valuable that I gotta pay to get rid of. So I realized that a lot goes into a name. And to the right person. That if you have terminology that the right person on our planet understands, they will see what you have to offer as a solution to their problem. If you go to anyone else in the world and say, I want to give you shit, give me money, they'll say, you fucking idiot. If you want me to haul your shit, you pay me the money. I'm taking your shit off your hands, right? Everybody knows that. So if you go to anyone except someone who wants fertilizer and say, I want to give you shit, they're going to say, here's how much it's going to cost you. But if you pick the right person, he's a needle in the haystack, the guy who values that shit more than anybody else. Everyone else has a negative value to the shit. He has a positive value to the shit, which means it's a negative cost to you to get rid of the shit. Which means on my little diagram, in your head you diagram things the way you do spatially. You can't show negative space, negative distances on a spatial thing. But when you're doing this on a computer, or the way I did it with the arrow and I would put the number. So the number would be, $10. You got to pay, and then while you're delivering your shit, so you pay to get rid of your shit. But I could do it the other way. I could say you give your shit and you receive $3 because you're now calling it fertilizer, right? So I started changing things, and I changed the direction of the arrows in terms of the money. But notice the shit direction never changes. So the non-dollar side of this diagram looks just like the world that we're seeing here. There's always positive distances between any 2 points. And the arrows have got to add up. Tail, head to tail, head to tail, head to tail. You got to make a circuit out of this stuff, like water circuit or electric circuit or anything else. Like the non-dollar side always got to have a circuit like that for things to work. You can't have a thing where just shit piles up someplace, right? Or shit somehow is shipped when it doesn't exist. You can't have a negative or positive. It has to always balance to zero. But the dollar side doesn't. That was my insight. That you could have a negative outflow of dollars because he's paying you. Now, once you start to do that, and you think of your map, so now think of each map being transparencies. One of them is the non-dollar side flowing. And as it's flowing, it's changing names. It starts out as feed, and it changes its name to shit. And shit might change its name back to feed, in that little circle. But it could be more. There could be more of these things. And you're buying this commodity, selling this,
when did you figure that out?
So this is around my college years.
Is this how you broke the M&A game?
Yeah.
This is how you broke
this is how I broke it in corporate finance.
Because no one else
was seeing these things. No one else was seeing it. To break the M&A game, I was realizing that each people are valuing things certain ways and doing stuff, but they're not seeing it multidimensionally, and they're all doing it in their simplistic dollars and cents things, and they're not seeing the more objective stuff, because the finance world focused only on the dollars and cents. And if you could focus on the non-dollar, non-cent side of this thing, you could map things out, just flowed through, and the dollars came in from everybody. And that was a really beautiful thing. So the M&A game was my first test of some of these ideas. And it was really coming off my ideas from the education reform, now in the language of graph theory and driving sales and the NP-complete problems and the mini-max theorems, and then transform it to this particular example in front of me, which has to do with the M&A game. And so I was creating negative paths in dollars. Always the path in the non-dollar has to balance out. But the dollar path, I now can put negative paths into these things.
Yes.
And I started to realize the shortest path could be negative when you add up. Some paths might be positive. You have to pay a way to hedge something, maybe. You might be paid so much from others.
This with like push and pull too.
Yeah.
You can say, I want as much dollar pull this direction as possible.
Right. Maximize dollar pull, minimize the dollar push. From what I have to do for me. So that's, as I say, minimax theorem. Anything can be defined in terms of minimax theorem. And so I realized that I could take a map which has to work the way normal geographical maps work with positive distances, but I could have underneath it or above it in the air a negative distance map. And then I say, minimize the distance of the traveling salesman in that world.
I have a sweet app on the iPad you might like. It's called Concepts. It's a drawing app. Mm-hmm. But you can put different layers on there, obviously, right?
Right.
But what's cool about this is I think it's like an infinitely scalable canvas. So like, if you want to add something to something, you can like just keep zooming in. You can like add stuff, or you zoom out.
Great.
Yeah.
I like the thought. I do want to see that because I tried to work on it and I did something. I forgot the name of the software I used years ago, which was the Microsoft World. Because it was like for circuit design where you could have electrical lines and you would bump over the circuit.
This is just like an art person's thing, right?
Okay.
But it was one of the main reasons why I got the iPad was I saw this drawing app and I was like, wow, that's really great.
And it's only for the iPad?
It's only for the iPad.
All right. Well, obviously, Russia's got a lot of iPads. Could probably work it out. No?
Go get one of your own.
Okay.
Like, theirs are okay. Like,
I was just saying,
it works.
to test it out. To see
I have it.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I wanted a way to, like, if I get an idea in my head, right, for like a tool or whatever. Usually, this is for like tools and stuff,
Right.
like industrial tooling and machine stuff. I was like, well, I can try and conceptualize this on paper, and that would be okay. But I'm going to draw it 100 times because I'm keep getting it wrong.
Right.
Okay. I was like, pen and paper suck. I'm not an artist. Literally, I still look like a preschooler when it comes to drawing things by pen and paper. So I need a way to erase and be able to redo this reasonably and easily. And prior to that, I try to conceptualize it in CAD, right? But it's so minute control in the CAD where you always get sucked down the rabbit hole of just like, oh, I'm optimizing this right off the hop. I'm not even making a sketch or anything. You're just starting to optimize right from the beginning. You can't avoid it, right?
Right.
But if I have this, literally like preschool playset drawing shit, like I can conceptualize something really quickly with digital pen and paper.
Good.
And then I have it.
Zoom in on each one you want.
And then I can, once I have it, I was like, this is the concept, this is how this thing works. And so I would put the parts on, or the different individual parts on different layers, so I could turn them on and off, and and then I would go into the CAD and I would have the drawing up next to the CAD while I'm drawing it. It made like developing a thing like
So
easy, like 3-4 times faster at minimum, like on a slow one, right?
Right.
Like if I really got caught in a rabbit hole on CAD, it could be like 10 times, or I'd never get done with it.
Right. This is a tool that I would love to see and try to see if I can use. So what happens then is that if, and I was using...
You got any chips?